the doctor who collected human heads. In London during 1910, Dr. Harvey Crippen appeared to be everything Victorian society admired in a gentleman. He wore respectable suits, maintained a medical practice, and spoke with a soft American accent that many London residents found charming. Neighbors saw him as a quiet, devoted husband who worked long hours to support his more flamboyant wife. This carefully constructed image concealed a mind that was calculating murder with the same precision he applied to medical procedures. Crippen had married Cora, who performed in London music halls under the stage name Belle Elmore. She possessed ambitions that far exceeded her modest talent, dreams of theatrical success that required expensive gowns, jewelry, and entertainment that drained the household finances. Cora dominated their marriage through constant demands for money and attention, treating her mild-mannered husband like a servant whose only purpose was funding her theatrical fantasies. She ridiculed Crippen in front of their friends, mocking his appearance and his inability to provide the luxurious lifestyle she believed she deserved. The marriage became increasingly toxic as Cora's spending habits pushed them toward financial ruin while her career prospects continued declining. She refused to accept that her dreams of stardom were unrealistic, instead blaming Crippen for not earning enough money to support her ambitions properly. Their home became a battlefield where Cora's verbal attacks grew more vicious and Crippen's resentment built steadily behind his submissive exterior. Friends noticed the tension between them but assumed this was simply how their relationship functioned. Crippen found solace in his relationship with Ethel LeNave, his secretary at the medical office where he worked. Ethel was everything Cora was not: quiet, supportive, and genuinely affectionate toward the doctor who had shown her kindness and attention. Their affair developed slowly, built on shared conversations and mutual respect rather than the financial calculations that had motivated Crippen's marriage to Cora. Ethel represented the peaceful domestic life that Crippen had always wanted but never experienced with his demanding wife. The affair created an impossible situation for Crippen, who found himself supporting two women while earning a modest income from his medical practice. Cora's spending continued unchecked, while Ethel's presence in his life made returning home each evening increasingly unbearable. Divorce would have been financially devastating and socially scandalous, destroying both his medical practice and his reputation in London society. Crippen began considering more permanent solutions to his domestic problems. On February 1, 1910, Cora Crippen attended a dinner party with friends from the music hall community. She appeared in good spirits, discussing upcoming performances and social events with her usual enthusiasm. That evening was the last time anyone outside the Crippen household would see her alive. The next day, Crippen told inquiring friends that Cora had received urgent news about a sick relative in America and had departed immediately for an extended visit. As weeks passed without any letters from Cora, her friends began expressing concern about her prolonged silence. Crippen provided increasingly elaborate explanations for his wife's absence, claiming that her relative's condition had worsened and required her extended care. When friends asked for Cora's American address so they could write to her directly, Crippen made excuses about postal difficulties and promised to forward their messages. These evasive responses began raising suspicions among people who knew Cora would never remain silent for such an extended period. The situation became more suspicious when friends noticed that Ethel LeNave had begun wearing Cora's jewelry and clothing to social events. Crippen explained that Cora had left these items behind and asked him to give them to Ethel rather than letting them sit unused. This explanation struck many people as highly unlikely given Cora's attachment to her expensive possessions and her generally possessive nature. Friends began discussing their concerns privately, wondering if something more sinister had happened to the missing woman. Police reluctantly agreed to investigate after Cora's friends continued pressing them about her disappearance. The initial investigation was cursory, with officers finding no obvious signs of violence or struggle in the Crippen home. Crippen answered their questions calmly and provided reasonable explanations for his wife's absence. The investigators lacked sophisticated forensic techniques and examined the house superficially, concluding that no crime had been committed. This initial police visit terrified Crippen, who realized that official suspicion was now focused on him. He made the critical error of fleeing London with Ethel, abandoning his medical practice and disappearing without explanation. This sudden flight transformed what had been mere suspicion into certainty that Crippen had committed a serious crime. Police returned to search his house more thoroughly, this time focusing on areas they had previously ignored. The second search revealed the horrifying truth buried beneath the cellar floor. Investigators found human remains that had been carefully dismembered and buried in quicklime, an attempt to accelerate decomposition and eliminate evidence. The condition of the remains made identification difficult, but forensic examination revealed crucial evidence that would prove the victim's identity. A piece of skin bore a distinctive surgical scar that matched medical records for an abdominal operation Cora had undergone years earlier. This forensic breakthrough provided the definitive proof needed to charge Crippen with murder. The surgical scar was so distinctive that medical experts could testify with certainty about the victim's identity. Crippen and Ethel had boarded a ship bound for Canada, disguising themselves as father and son to avoid detection. Ethel had cut her hair short and dressed in men's clothing, while Crippen had shaved his distinctive mustache and altered his appearance. Their escape attempt failed when the ship's captain recognized them from newspaper descriptions and alerted authorities. Crippen was captured, tried, and ultimately executed for his crime. The case became notorious throughout Britain, demonstrating how a respectable facade could conceal the most calculated evil.